Hey, Jawad here from CodeLlama.com, here to talk to you about how to create a course in CodeLlama.com. So you're a teacher and you want to teach computer science to your students. Well, here at CodeLlama.com, we have created an online gaming world for you to be able to do that. And so we start here at the home page of you as a teacher. In this case, our teacher's name is Agnes. And we have here three courses listed by default that you will have access of it to. The first one is Intro to Java Programming, where we do an entire course on Java using our gaming techniques. And then we get into Intro to Programming using Blockly and Intro to Programming using Blockly, but a video-based lesson. So the earlier one, Intro to Blockly, that's a PDF static-based lesson. So you could introduce your students to programming using PDF files, or you could create videos using any video editor you wish, export to MP4 format, and yep, you can have a video-based lesson as well. So you can take these courses, use them straight up, or you can duplicate them and create your own renditions, your own modifications to these courses as you see fit. Looking at this page, this is our dashboard. So we would have our dashboard. We can always come back to our dashboard anytime. We can duplicate a course. We can import a course from an Excel spreadsheet. There's a certain format that goes into it. So you could export any course you have here and have as a backup as well. You can modify your profile. The lesson uh, the lesson is the drop down is the most important one because this is where you'll be doing most of your time. So you'll have manage class, manage student, manage course, and lesson design. We're going to focus in this video on manage course and lesson design. There are a few components that go into creating a course, your own course, and we'll talk about those momentarily, but you will use manage course and lesson design together to be able to create that course that your students will use. The other aspect is once you have a course created, and we'll do this in a follow-up video, is you will create a class section and add your students to that class section. That's what the top two options are all about. We have messages, so you can send messages to your students or receive messages and respond accordingly. You can contact us with any issues, any questions you may have, and we have help topics as well, which is where you will find this video. And of course, you can log out. So let's jump into it. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new course. So if we want to create a brand new course, we'll hit Add Course, and we'll give this course a name. I'm going to say My Test Course, and we'll just say and for the course description, we'll say this is a test course for tutorials. Let's submit, and we'll have a new course that we can edit. So we can edit, when we go to edit here, we can just re-edit the information we just spoke about a moment ago. Delete will of course delete the course, but we have to delete all the stuff inside of the course first before deleting the actual course. And then we got manage course. This is where you're actually going to add your course materials. You're going to go to manage course when you're ready. Now, within the course, there are lesson modules that you have to create. There are 10 lesson modules you'll have to create for a particular course. Even if you don't have 10 modules, just add 10 in total and keep them empty. Right? Just so you have 10 modules, because the online world right now focuses on 10 modules here. So we're going to add a lesson module here. So under my test course, we're going to call this module 1 introduction, and we'll say this is an intro to the course. Now lesson image, I'll leave it alone, but this is where you would have a little image icon for each lesson in the course, so that you can so your students can distinguish between what each lesson topic's all about. So you can come up with some images that you can use as icons. Hit submit, and you'll see you can edit the information we just spoke about. You can delete this module or lesson, and you then, when you're happy with it, you can go into manage lesson. So now let's talk about what goes into each module in a course. You can have either a PDF or a video file, an MP4 formatted video file as your lesson for this module. You will need to have exercises. So I'm assuming you're going to have exercises all through your lesson. So you could have examples, you could have exercises, you could have a combination of examples that you walk through the student how to code with by starting off with code that you want to show, and then have them maybe complete it with with a few extra lines. Or you could just have code that you have a solution for. It's an exercise they have to do that to finish it from scratch. So you have exercises. The next part is that you have to have quiz questions. So it's assumed that you're going to, at the end of each lesson module, there'll be a quiz. So you can come up with a few multiple choice questions to test their knowledge. And finally, there are puzzles throughout the online world. So you'll want to have a few puzzle images, 7 puzzle images in total. So as they finish a module and a quiz, in order to get to the next level, they have to unlock a puzzle. So what happens with that puzzle is you have an image, then the Law 9 world jumbles that image, and the student will have to unlock that image in order to proceed further. So let's go ahead and add a module here. So you can see here we have different puzzle images. Now it's the same 7 puzzle images for the entire course. You just have the option of modifying them here by dragging and dropping or clicking to upload an image file, typical PNG, JPEG type file here. We won't do that here in this tutorial, but that's what you would do. So we'll call this module. I'm going to repeat the name, say module 1 introduction, and I'm going to set it to be a PDF. Browse for my PDF file. And so I'm going to add module1.pdf. And now I have to determine what type of lesson I want to do. Do I want to do a text-based lesson, drag and drop coding, Blockly lesson? So text-based meaning Java, programming in Java, or using drag and drop, using coding through the Blockly language, the drag and drop language through Google. I'll choose drag and drop in this case. And we'll hit Save Changes. And so now we have our module. So like I was saying earlier, we have quiz questions that we can add. But first, let's manage this module and add our exercises. So the way I like to work is I like to have my PDF open, and I'll navigate through my PDF and until I hit an exercise. And so let's add an exercise here. So I'll add the question in, I'll add my solution in as well. So at this point, we're finally seeing the Unity player here in the corner, because at this point, we now have our add exercise page. And so we can test out how our code's going to work in the Unity window. So the student, when they are trying to play around with the lesson, they're trying to get their character to do stuff, they'll see what happens here, just like you would see what happens here. The only difference is that the avatar will change. So in this case, Agnes's avatar is Laamaa, and so we'll see Laamaa down here in this window. In the meantime, let's navigate this page and see what this is all about. So we have your question name, question description, of course, and those are mandatory. We have here actually 2 windows here, 2 play spaces for code. There's a reason for that. This is our initial, meaning that when the student first sees the exercise, whatever code you put here, this is their starting point. They'll see, you could have a partially completed exercise, so you could have the starting point for that question, and then down here you'll have the final solution. So you can have the proper final question there. So for example, let's start going into this this drag and drop window here and exploring it. Now, of course, Module 1 for our Intro to Blockly course goes over what each category is, but we'll go over it one more time. So we have here logic, which basically focuses on if statements. So any if comparisons, in order to do conditional statements, we can check to see if it's equal, not equal, greater than, less than, and so on. We have here Boolean logic, so and, or, and so on, not, true, false. Here's your if else. You can use this little star here to add more if else's within your block as well. So here's if else as well here. We have a test block as well. This is like the shortcut to the question mark colon operator in Java. So it's that equivalent there. We have loops, so we can repeat, we can do a count, we can do a for each, we can break out of a loop. Math, so we can do add, multiply, divide, square root, sine, cos, tan, and number of different mathematical operators here. We can do random numbers as well. Text is the most common one you'll be using. You'll be playing around with text a lot. Print, here's your print block to print to the screen with text. And we can ask for input here. So this prompt for text, this is our input block. And it allows us to be able to ask for input from the user, whether it be number or text. We can actually ask for that here. We have lists or arrays. We have variables. This is the second most common one you're going to use because you're going to be using variables all the time, and you use the variables over here. And functions. So when we get into functions towards the end of the course, it'll get some more advanced from there. Custom Blockly is the most fun because here your avatar can do various moves. So kick, walk, punch, block, play dead, and so on. So let's start off with an example here. Let's start off with variables. We're going to create a variable here. And this variable, I'm going to change the name. Item seems like a very indescriptive variable name. We can either rename it or we can just say new variable. I'm going to call this variable temperature. And we're going to set it to a number. So I'll go to my math, pull out 0. There you go. And so I'll set temperature to 15. All right. Now, maybe I'll ask the user to change the temperature. I'll say we are going to change the temperature. Now at this point, maybe I'll ask the user. Actually, let's make it fun. Let's actually add a little move here. So let's have Laamaa celebrate that, hey, we're going to change the temperature. So let's add in a jump block here. And then after the jump block, let's ask the user to change the temperature. So I'm going to go into prompt text for message. Now, what I'm going to do is set this to a new variable. So I'm going to take a new variable here, join it here, and let's change this. Let's create a new variable out of this. Let's call it new temp. And we'll see what our options here. Prompt, text, or number. So because I want a number, I'm going to say number. Let's say enter a new temperature. And so it'll get saved in the variable new temp. I'm just going to print it back to the screen. So I'm going to take text, print. Now, I could do this in multiple print blocks by saying the new temperature is, and then do another print and print out the variable. But let's take a convenient text block here that'll save us a step. Create text with, and then add that variable new temp to print back to the screen. So let's look at it here. We set a temperature to 15. We're going to change temperature. We're going to jump. We set new temperature, enter new temperature. We'll print out the new temperature is this. Hey, let's have our character do a kick. What's the other option? Flying kick. Let's do a flying kick. Now we have our code here, so let's test it out. And now, because we did a prompt for number, a little pop-up comes up here. It says enter a new temperature. So I'm going to say the temperature is 23 Celsius, of course. So it says the new temperature is 23, and it did a flying kick to celebrate. So you can have a lot of fun asking your students to do different combinations of moves while asking them to do some calculations. So you come up with some simple questions. This is one of the most common questions you'll see in the Blockly courses and Java courses is convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. So once you have the formula, which is 9 divided by 5 times Celsius plus 32, you can convert to Fahrenheit all the time and just have them do different things. Like, hey, if I've completed this answer, then have it do a jump. Or if the answer is greater than 35, have it play dead. If it's less than 35, have it do a victory dance. You can come up with all kinds of different options here. And so now that I'm done my question, I should really give it a name and a description. So I'm going to say this is exercise 1. I'm going to say for description, which would be our question description, enter some code to have your avatar jump and do a flying kick while entering a new temperature. So we'll hit save. And so there I have my new exercise question. I can go back and edit it by hitting edit. And all along I will add in more exercise questions. And until I've satisfied all the exercises that I wanted for my particular lesson, maybe outlined in the PDF or outlined in the video, but you would go ahead and do it there. So we continue adding exercises until we're happy. The nice thing is that we have this little duplicate exercise feature. So sometimes you might have variations of questions that are very similar. You don't want to keep entering the stuff in over and over again. So I can hit duplicate exercise. Maybe I have a duplicate exercise from another course. So that's why we have to choose the course first. So I'm going to say my test course, module 1, module 1 again for the module, exercise 1. I'll call this exercise 2. Hit duplicate. And now I can go ahead and edit exercise 2. And just for fun here, let's just say do the hokey pokey as our question. We have here code. I'll leave the code. Let's say let's pretend that we've actually saved this. So let's hit save, or we modify this. Let's hit save. And so now we have 2 exercise questions. So it could save yourself some time there. So this was the exercise side of things. The next thing we want to look at is to add quiz questions. So back at my module list, I'll just go to Manage Quiz. And so now I want to add in some quiz questions. So let's hit Add Quiz Question. So right now the platform only handles multiple choice quiz questions. If you wanted to go in a different direction, we have puzzle questions where you can apply different types of puzzle questions using images. And so there are variations you can do, but for the quiz itself, right now we're focusing on multiple choice. So I could ask a question like, what is the command to selectively execute code? I could say the for block the if block, the variable block. You could say none of these. And so you'll see here we have little radio buttons on the side. You basically highlight the correct answer. So we're doing selectively execute code, which is an if block. And so this will be considered the correct answer. We'll hit Save Changes. And so we have, what is the command to selectively execute code? We can add another question. What is the command for asking for input? And we could say the prompt block, the for block, the if block, the while block. And so it would be the prompt one. Hit Save Changes. And so we keep going with quiz questions that we may want to keep adding for our particular quiz for this particular module. So we've covered creating a course, we've covered adding a module to that course, either through PDF or through video, and then we've created an exercise question. So we create all these exercise questions that we need, and we've also created some quiz questions. Now the last thing is and let's assume that we've created all 10 of our modules, so we're ready to go for this course. Now there's one last step to do, and that is to basically generate our lesson. So then back at the module page for each individual module, you'll see a button here that says Regenerate Lesson. The reason for this is that our next and final step is to go into the lesson design page and actually bring in our different modules, exercises, and quizzes into different modules, into different modules that the online world can recognize. So we have all this course material here. We have to translate into something that the online world can work with. And so there's a shortcut here for each module that allows us to save some time, and that is to click Regenerate Lesson. And so we have all of these options here. Now what I'm going to do instead is actually walk you through these options through the lesson design page. And then you'll appreciate that you could click on Regenerate Lesson and fill out this information, and it'll automatically generate the items that you need to get it ready for the online world. So I'm going to hit X here, cancel out of that, and what we're going to do is we're going to go straight into lesson design. And at the top we'll choose our course. I have my test course. And right now there is no data set here to work with. So we have to create 10 of these, one for each module, basically one for each part of the online world. So I'm going to start with adding a set. I'm going to call it Module 1. And we'll say this is the introduction. So hit Submit. And then it goes into this little drag and drop editor. So all the course material that we have created for this particular module, we can now drag and drop here. So I'm going to start with a module. And we'll give it a name. We'll just call it Module 1 Introduction. We'll say this is the description, for lack of a better description. We'll choose our course. So we'll say my test course. Select Module 1 Introduction, and chapter name is Module 1. So this will be that PDF lesson that we uploaded, the PDF module. We'll hit Submit. And so now we have our module here. Lesson item will be the actual PDF. So it's going to grab the PDF here and it'll attach it. So we'll just have to say Module 1 Introduction, and then we'll say this is a description, and we'll hit Submit. Now let's add in our exercises. So we'll drag in the exercise. We have 2 exercises, so we'll just hit Add. For exercise 1, you'll see exercise 1 appear there. Exercise 2, hit Add, and hit Finish. We got our exercises. finally, let's add our quiz. We created a couple of quiz questions, so execute code, ask it for input, add for each of them. I hit finish. And now we have an entire module completed. So we have our PDF lesson, we have some exercise questions that we're assuming is based on the PDF, we have our quiz questions. So now all we have to do is hit finish. I can go and verify that it's there by going to My Test Course in the drop down, and we'll see here is our lone module that we have for our lesson. And so we would go ahead and we would create 9 other modules here, and at this point, once we have done this, then we have a full-on course. Now, if we don't do this, what will happen is that the student will go through your online world, it'll come to a lesson module, and then it'll want to load that lesson module, and they'll get a blank screen. So it's really important that we do this little step here to translate and convert, or basically round up all our course materials into something that the online world can understand. So there you have it. We've created our very own course. We've added our lesson module. It'd be a PDF this time around. We've added in some exercises that the student can do. We've added in some quiz questions, and then we've summed it all up by translating it to something that the online world can work with. So I'm Jawad Sheikh for CodeLaamaa.com and hope to see you in the online world. Thanks, take care, and bye for now.